Evening, everyone. It's nice to see a good crowd with us tonight. I'd like to welcome everyone to the mayor and council meeting of Monday, July the 20th, 2026. The time is a few minutes after 6 p.m. and a quorum is present. Council members, if you will join me in standing in the audience. Mr. Parker, if you will lead us in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Council members, you have before you an agenda. I will entertain a motion.
Second.
I have a motion. I have a second. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we do have some public comment cards this evening. If there's anyone who wishes to speak, if you will promptly please go to the back of the room if you've not filled out a card, and do so now. Otherwise, I will start with Ms. Cott. Kathy, if you would like to come forward. It is our practice that we have published 3 minutes for the person to speak. We ask that you come to the microphone. If you'll hit the button at the base, it'll turn green, and that's for the purpose of recording for our minutes. I'm not going to stop you or interrupt you in the middle of a thought or a sentence, certainly, but at 3 minutes, I'm going to please let you know to kind of conclude your thought and your comments. And Ms. Cott, please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for your time today. I want to start by saying that I'm not against data centers, and also that I don't live in the Dalton City limits proper, but the limits of my concern do not stop at a city line or a county line. So that's why I'm here today, because I do care about everything that goes on here in Dalton, just as well as Whitfield County. The people of Whitfield County are looking to our leaders to be good stewards of the land and to insist that these companies that are descending upon us are also good stewards and good neighbors. This means to us to demand the end of subsidies, including any kind of sale or tax exemptions. We must be charging them the full cost of electricity and any other services of ours that they use. The people want complete openness for permit applications, absolutely no non-disclosure agreements. And I just have to say, how in the world did that ever come to be a thing for someone in a public office to do a non-disclosure? That just seems so crazy to the average person here in our county. So the entire community needs notification and the ramifications and effects of such businesses when they come to town, and not just the adjacent properties that get notified as it currently stands. We want full accountability on water, electricity, natural gas, and the long-term impacts to our community resources. The accountability needs to be ongoing for the life of the facility, since they will continually be using our resources to make billions of dollars. These are not just startup businesses. We all know that. These are billionaires that are coming in to use our resources. So those are some of my concerns. I have a few questions for the city council. So I wonder if the city council has set standards for operation of data centers that include protecting our water, air, light, the temperature, the noise. What are those standards? And can we talk about them more publicly in some sort of way that the citizenry feel engaged? What are the requirements placed on these facilities for their water usage during scarcity times? So we've all lived through droughts and heat waves. So who gets to use these resources first? That needs to be determined and well stated. Are we encouraging or requiring them to use green power whenever possible that doesn't pollute our environment? What sort of protections does the city of Dalton have for the landowners whose property may be scooped up by eminent domain when power lines and things like this just need to come, pipelines need to come to these facilities? So there's a lot of concerns, a lot of questions from the community. And the last thing I'm going to bring up today is, as a question, is what are we going to do when this massive footprint outgrows the technology that brought them here? So are we going to be left with this white elephant that takes up our land? Are the companies going to be held to account for dismantling them or disengaging them? So those are things that I feel like that I hear. I don't feel like I hear from our community, questions that I have personally. And at the end of the day, I just want to say that the people of Whitfield County and Dalton City, we have a hard time trusting corporations, and it's not a secret as to why. And it's not just us, it's all over the United States. We've seen these corporations take advantage of us, and we get very little in return. So we feel like we're at the beginning where we might be able to make our voices heard and get some accountability on record. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Cott. All right. Rachel Morones. Did I pronounce your name correctly? Okay, great.
Okay, so I'm going to quote from an article from the Environmental Energy Study Institute. The article is titled, "Data Center Power Demands Are Contributing to Higher Energy Bills" by Miguel Yanez Barnuevo. Before 2019, electricity prices had been at a flat around 13 cents per kilowatt per hour for more than a decade, in part thanks to energy efficiency policies that reduced energy consumption as the overall domestic economy grew. By the end of 2025, however, the average electricity prices in the United States had increased to 19 cents per kilowatt per hour, around 27% more than in 2019. In states with a high concentration of data centers, like Virginia, electricity prices had increased by up to 267% over the last 5 years. Such spikes are due to utilities needing to quickly deploy infrastructure such as power lines and transformers and pay for extra market rate energy. Electricity prices are not expected to decrease anytime soon. According to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, residential electricity prices rose by 11.5% in 2025, outpacing inflation. Looking further ahead, prices are expected to increase by up to 40% in 2030 compared to 2025. Higher energy bills disproportionately affect disadvantaged communities, which are often faced with significant energy burdens. Low-income residents, renters, Black households, and Hispanic households spend up to 20% of their income on energy compared to 3% for higher-income households. Even before the data center boom, 1 in 4 households reported having difficulty paying their energy bills or maintaining safe indoor temperatures because of energy costs. To protect residential and small businesses, consumers from higher energy charges, utilities and state regulatory agencies across the country are starting to create separate specialized rates and classes and retail tariffs for large load uses, including data centers. However, it doesn't appear that anything like that is happening in Dalton right now. And in the middle of an affordability crisis in the United States, which is affecting this community as a whole, it is foolish, reckless, and altogether disgusting to allow another data center to go up in this area without protections and safeguards for the people that live in this area. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank you for allowing me to speak. I'll keep it very short and respectful as much as I can. We already have it on public record that the city of Dalton has not only had AI, but I hope to the constituents amongst me that you have not signed any NDAs. I want to make it very prevalent moving forward. If I can get elected, that I will make that gone out of the office. It should not be fair to y'all that you have to sign that, let alone you should have the ability to have discernment between what you want for your communities or not, and put people before profit. Of course, you have to stay bipartisan, cannot speak, so that I will try to work with anyone in the community, out of the community, and in the tri-state area to make sure moving forward that AI centers are something that are moratoriumed. Walker County has already announced one, Hamilton County has already announced one, and I hope moving forward, Whitfield County will announce one, but Whitfield County is a different precipice than it is for the city of Dalton. So moving forward to the people as well who represent us, but as people who are voting, look to a future for our children that AI centers will not be next door or in a park that used to be there. I was speaking at the Whitfield County's meeting and I said, we had just recently put in the next tombstone to be dug up 50 years from now. I want to make sure that it's there and that AI is not covering it. We have a lot of beautiful forestation and herbal life that is not existing anywhere else really in this state. So let's keep it that way. We already had AI with noise pollution, not only killing certain flight patterns, but stopping certain deer and other animals from migrating through Dalton or in Dalton. And so, thank you. And so moving forward, this is a situation where we have representation and we have people who are not only aware of the situation, but even as I look at the officers in the back, I want to make sure that when they are patrolling, protecting the city, they're not having to run around city blocks of AI centers just to catch an assailant, or as well make sure they can protect somebody from a crime that's going to be committed. Because Valley Point, specifically in Whitfield County, has 90 acres potentially. They've already said that they have not signed an NDA, but just because they have not signed an NDA does not mean that they will not be having one coming on their table or in their meetings very soon. The AI situation is not something to take light, because once you put down a quasi-billion-dollar metal, steel, cold warehouse, that does not come up. And Dalton already has an issue with warehouses being abandoned in this county and in this city specifically. This is a very strong, beautiful Latino community. I not only want to keep it that way, but I do not want it to be used by people who are quasi-billionaires out of the city, out of California, who do not represent Dalton values, Soccer Town, USA, and carpet capital of the world. So thank you.
Thank you. All right. Maya Cadillo, did I say your name correct? Sidio. Yeah, hi, welcome. I see the E now, sorry.
Hello, everybody. With AI not only being damaging to our environment by wasting trillions of gallons of water a year, large data centers consumption being at 5 million gallons per day, and medium centers at 110 million gallons of water per year. It seems that we have forgotten that not only 3% of Earth's water is fresh water, while 0.5% of that water is accessible and safe for human consumption in theory. Leaving everyday citizens left with concerns of safety, privacy, and future. I want everyone in this room to raise their hand if they have children, grandchildren, nieces or nephews, or overall any little one who they would do anything and everything for just to protect them. Please raise your hand. Okay. Well, I want everyone in this room to know that there are American leaders who have voted recently against restrictions for child pornography to be regenerated on AI data centers. In which, mind you, we cannot forget that AI steals photos from our devices every day in every search and every recreation that people are searching up in AI. So I want to ask this question: how does everybody in this room plan on protecting little ones from being regenerated as AI porn? Because I don't want to see any of my nephews or nieces being generated like that in any way, shape, or form, even if it's fake. Because even if it's fake, intentions are still set behind. So who knows what that person will be capable of, no matter what the situation is. Let's also not forget that AI is stealing art and literature from original creators. And as we sit over here and watch art and literature be stolen from original creators, we also have to worry about the memories that we are trying to cherish and save, to always remember and reminisce whenever we are struggling to remember and reminisce. and as AI has also evolved negatively neurologically, people have become dependent with search and even just as something little as basic emails, which leaves us with so many concerns because nobody wants to hear that their doctor or heart surgeon or brain surgeon graduated medical school because of AI. So all I'll sit over here and ask is everyone just reconsider AI. Thank you.
Thank you. Luis Puente? Sir? Good evening.
But I'm trying to make some kind of complaint. The lady behind me, we have a business right here on Martin Luther King. In Honor Safe Shopping Center, there is a club members that they are being disturbing because they smoke grass. They have these poker games at night, and also there is some trafficking of drugs on the area. And it's hard for me to run my business. I have a laundromat, and the lady behind me has got a sport store. Sell t-shirts and all that kind of stuff. Now what we find out, they are going to put some kind of casino. They are ordering some machines, gambling machines and dice. They play poker, and I believe gambling is not right on the state. I don't know what we can do. I have kids coming to the laundry, families. I can't bring them back because once they smell that, I'm 5 doors away from them. She's the next door. She can breathe sometimes. The smell is so hard. So we don't know what can we do. We already complained to the police. I talked this morning to a code enforcement officer, but we don't know what to do.
Okay. The meeting will probably take another 30 minutes. Can you wait after? And I
That's
and
not a
others
problem.
will speak with you if you'll just wait till the end of the meeting, please, sir.
As long as we can do something about it,
Yes,
because
sir.
my business is going down and also
Yes,
her
sir.
business.
Yes,
And we
ma'am.
like to do something.
Thank
It's
you.
not good for the community, I believe.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Dan Levingood?
Thank you, Honorable Mayor Sams and distinguished council members. I'm not here to oppose data centers, but let me give you a history of myself. I don't live in the city, but I use the resources that the city provides, water. I have 38 years of environmental management experience for a regulated industry. I permitted all the environmental, I was project manager to permit the last coal-fired power plant in the United States, all of it, including 16 million gallons a day of water. So I know what I'm talking about, so I say this. So I stand here to talk about intelligent siting of data centers. Right now, I think the city, the capacity of drinking water, we have is what, 50.3 million gallons per day, which is a significant amount, but we use about, 22 to 28 million gallons per day. So any sort of data center that is sited needs to have some considerations of what's in this proposed ordinance that my friends prepared. But also to allow, or to require not pass-through, once-through cooling systems, okay? Because we only have about, 20 million gallons per day capacity for growth of the city, for industry and all those things. Also, some considerations, I don't know where the city would own something like that if they even were to do it, perhaps out by the wastewater treatment plant, which is probably the most intelligent place to site such a thing because the Oglethorpe Power Facility there uses, actually they evaporate about 6.12 million gallons per day of water in their cooling water. So, so there's space out there if that were to happen. So the intelligent siting of a data center not impacting the public. And I looked at some of the figures for an average 50 megawatt hour facility. So they use anywhere from 18 to 36 million gallons a day. That's for a once-through system. But again, the intelligent siding of these things and also the due diligence for design should include once-through type systems. Also noise prevention as well, and also reasonable setback from other industries, but also especially for residential people and residents. So I speak to you today as we all want our city to continue growing. We don't want it to grow too fast, but we want to have reasonable growth and also for tax revenue for the city and for the county. And that's mainly what I wanted to talk about with you. So I'm looking at that. We would not have any capacity, obviously, in the Conasauga River Basin to extract water from that. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Levingood. All right. Carmen Schuler?
Hello, I'm Carmen Schuler, and I'll try to give a brief overview of the data center ordinance proposal that has been prepared by concerned citizens, many with expertise like Dan and experience. And we hope it helps you in developing an ordinance for the city of Dalton that would be helpful to Whitfield County to follow you in your footsteps. So the purpose of the ordinance: protect the health, safety, and welfare of city residents, preserve public utility capacity, protect residential neighborhoods from adverse impacts, promote effective use of water and energy resources, encourage sustainable industrial development, ensure that private development bears the cost of infrastructure improvements made necessary by its operation. Establish local hiring requirements with percentage targets of construction and permanent jobs. There's a section on ban non-disclosure agreements that was just mentioned. This is a major problem nationwide. We believe it leads to corruption, stops transparency to the public. So we hope you haven't entered into that and won't. We hope Whitfield County won't. We are calling for a moratorium until such regulations with an ordinance are in place. We have been calling for a 2-year moratorium. We're told there's only a 6-month moratorium available. We don't know yet, but we do know that Calhoun had a 6-month moratorium and they got a renewal for 6 months more. I think Ford County also. So maybe that's another option for us. I will now just try to read the other headers, the categories that have information. We have copies for you at the end of public comment if anyone wants a copy of this ordinance. End or reform tax abatements. Provide workforce pipeline requirements. Outline permitted locations with addressing flood hazard zones. That's very important and causing problems nationwide when it was not planned in. Renewable energy requirements. Water conservation, probably the biggest concern of everyone nationwide. That's a big one. That category on water goes on. And luckily we have a citizen, Dan Levingood, who is experienced and basically an expert in this area at our disposal, available to you in working on and developing a working ordinance for our city. Protection of residential utility customers. Your house shouldn't have to take up slack because of the additional costs coming in by data center. infrastructure improvements, including some fees, some impact fees that the developer would pay up front, maybe beginning at $25,000, maybe more, depending on the size perhaps, I don't know, but the burden should not fall on the citizens. Section 11, utility capacity verification. It's not happening. It's not happening in Georgia. It's not happening around the country. We want it to happen here. You can be a trendsetter. And then there's annual compliance with an annual report, documenting consumption, emissions, all those kinds of things. And when you inspect, there may be violations. And when there are violations, what will the city do? And this ordinance outlines the types of things that might be necessary. The effective date, you tell us. You have copy. Let us know how we can help you, how we can have a public forum to answer questions and do some planning beyond 3 minutes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms.
We know you can do this and we have confidence in you.
Thank you, Ms. Schuler. All right, that concludes our public commentary. I do not have any cards, further cards before me. We have next staff presentations. Mr. Parker?
Madam Mayor, we do have one this evening from Director of Tourism, Margaret Thigpen.
Good evening, Margaret.
Good evening. Thank you. I put at each one of your stations a report on the actual economic impact of the events that we've had coming in. Behind that is attached the June report on the groups that came in. You can see June was actually a very strong month, but it also, the front page breaks it down to second quarter and then year to date. I took it a step further and showed you the economic engines, the reasons that these groups are in our community. So I just wanted to share that information with you. We have our Convention and Visitors Bureau in-person meeting a week from tomorrow, and this information will be shared there as well.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks.
All right, moving on to council members. You have minutes before you of the mayor and council meeting of June the 22nd, 2026. I will entertain a motion.
So move. Second.
Motion, I have a second. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, under unfinished business, item number 3, second reading ordinance 24-29, the request of Edgar Rincon to rezone from transitional commercial C4 to general commercial C2, attractive land totaling 0.92 acres located at 908 Elk Street, Dalton, Georgia, parcel 12257-02-028. Ethan?
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. As we revisit this case, we can see some of the points here. Rezoning from C4, that's the transitional commercial zone district, and that transitional commercial zone district, again, is basically intended to be sort of a belt around downtown, a buffer between downtown and the conventional, more highway, typical general commercial development. And as we see it here along Elk Street, we see that the C2 zone district is adjacent to the property on multiple boundaries. And basically, the reason for this request was in order to take what is currently a non-conforming business, I believe it was an event center, and bring that into conformity. And the only way to do so in this case would be for a rezoning for general commercial. And of course, that would allow both the permitted use of the event center along with many other commercial uses. But this doesn't institute any sort of spot zone or issue like that into similar use from adjacent properties, given the C2 zoning in this area, as well as the heavy industrial zoning across the street. So we don't anticipate at this location that would create any inconsistency in the zoning map or negative impact on adjacent properties based on that adjacent zoning and development. Based on all that, the staff recommendation was to approve, and the Planning Commission also recommended approval. And of course, with any use like this, any expansion of it would therein bring forth
any additional improvements that would need to be made to this property in regard to parking and things like that. So they would, of course, if any future expansion were to be made, they would have to comply and make up for any additional parking. That's generally one of the most biggest concerns related to event centers. But I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Are there questions or comments of Ethan on this item?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Mr. Calhoun, as you look at the site map, if you go, I realize there's some other properties in between this property and the property across, I guess that's Hamilton Street. Is the property across Hamilton Street the property that is now being developed into the new residential neighborhood?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
I thought that tract was the new neighborhood.
It's a good point.
Okay.
All right. Are there any other questions or comments on this item?
If I could just add, Madam Mayor and Council, as noted on the slide, this is a little bit unique because the first reading was held some time ago. Council raised concerns back in 2024 about the petitioner's ability to satisfy the parking requirements for a use of this type, and a second reading was not held to give the petitioner time to address those concerns. Typically, those concerns are addressed during the permitting stage, but in this case, given the request to go to an event center or event facility that we call it now, the parking was a key issue in this rezoning analysis. And so I confirmed today with our staff that the petitioner has had a registered surveyor submit a parking schematic to the planning and building inspection staff for review. They're continuing to work through those issues. The other reason that this came back up was the council's recent enactment of the event facilities licensing ordinance. Our code enforcement supervisor is trying to reach out to all the various event facilities within the city to make them aware of that. Most times the zoning's already appropriate, but in this case, the zoning did need to be addressed to allow this to move forward.
All right. Thank you for those comments. If there are no other questions or comments on this item, I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
All right. So that was two in favor and one against.
Motion fails, right?
That's correct. The
The
motion
motion
fails.
fails. Okay. All right. Item number, so that concludes under unfinished business. Under new business, item number 4, first reading ordinance 26-15 to hear the request of Amin Ali to rezone from medium-density, single-family residential R3 to rural residential R5, a tract of land totaling 1.102 acres located at 400 Birchfield Avenue, parcels 12-202-05-047 and parcel 12-202-05-048.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. This rezoning is basically a request to go from a single-family, medium-density residential to rural residential. The big differences in these two zone districts would be the permitting of manufactured homes and duplex dwellings in the R5 zone district that would not be permitted in the current R3 zone district. And that's essentially what the petitioner has proposed. There is one existing single-family detached dwelling on the subject property. The petitioner is proposing to add at least one additional duplex, maybe multiple additional duplexes. At a close review with staff analysis, of course, you can see on the map here that the property is significantly impacted by the flood zone and floodway. And having that amount of impact on the subject property, that greatly limits the ability to divide and develop that property in the future. And while the petitioner may be able to get a duplex dwelling on this property, they will likely be greatly limited to their potential for development because of that flood zone. Of course, that was brought up and raised in the public hearing by a neighbor who did confirm there has been historically a fair amount of flooding on that property. And of course, if hypothetically the rezoning is approved, that would all be answered in the permitting phases and building permitting phase in order for the petitioner to be able to both divide the subject property as well as to develop it any further than it has been. Basically, from a zoning standpoint, this property already lies on the boundary between the medium density residential zone district and the high density zone district or high residential density zone district. It's adjacent to quite a number of duplex and multifamily dwellings. You'll see immediately east of the subject property. And so transitioning from that into the medium density development that we see to the west that the subject property is within, this really doesn't institute something that doesn't already exist in the area, really wouldn't be considered an entering wedge or a spot zone in this case. It would simply be creating a transition from the high density residential to the R3 residential from a zoning standpoint. Of course, some of the other factors limiting the property like the flood zone, that would all be handled through the permitting phase of the property. So the staff recommendation in this case was to approve. The rezoning is requested and the Planning Commission also recommended approval. We did hear one individual in opposition.
Okay, we'll take no action on this evening as a first reading, but council members, are there questions or comments on this item? All right, thank you, Ethan.
Thank you.
All right. Next item is item number 5, contract with Titan Aviation Fuels and fuel supplier for the airport. Andrew?
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. I have here at the approval and recommendation of the Airport Authority a 5-year contract with Titan Aviation Fuels to continue supplying fuel and branding services for the airport. We have had them as our fuel supplier for the last 12 years. I just wanted to continue that service agreement.
All right, are there questions or comments on this item? Has this been before your board and?
Yes.
Okay,
Approved by the Airport Authority, yes.
okay. Any questions or comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move that we approve.
Have a motion?
Second.
Second, is there any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Item number 6, memorandum of understanding with Dalton Serenity Club. Andrew?
Yes, Madam Mayor and council members, this may be familiar to the council. We have had a partnership with the Dalton Serenity Club and the Carter Hope Center since 2024. As you know, the city of Dalton has opted into the National Opioid Settlement Fund. Those funds are held in a restricted fund account with the city for the purpose of expanding access to opioid treatment, prevention, and recovery services. Since 2024, the city has, as I said, had this partnership with the Serenity Club as they provide Narcotics Anonymous sessions, and this will provide them funding in approval with the settlement fund restrictions so that they can use this funding to help support their rent payments, utilities, program materials, and supplies. Again, as part of the MOU, they have to submit an annual financial report to us certifying that the funds have been used accordingly to the restrictions, and they have done that. So we would recommend this for your approval.
Are there questions or comments on this item? Not, I will entertain a motion.
Motion.
Have a motion.
Second.
Have a second. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Item number 7, Resolution 26-19, authorizing temporary construction easements.
Okay, this was a little bit unique. This resolution has to do with a failing CMU block wall on John Street, which is a street that's off parallel to Abutment Road. It does not receive a lot of public travel, but there are some industrial businesses back in this area. And as you can see from the photo, the wall is deteriorating, it's leaning, and it needs to be removed. Chad Townsend, our Public Works Director, has reviewed the site and believes he's developed a plan to remove the wall and stabilize the embankment. The unique thing about this is the wall is in the city right of way, but we have no records to support who actually constructed the wall. So what the resolution for your consideration this evening does is authorize the mayor to execute the adjacent property owners providing a temporary construction easement to allow Public Works to remove the wall, stabilize the slope. And the easements acknowledge that the city doesn't own the wall, but it's located in the right of way, and it provides a release from the adjacent property owners, as well as an indemnification to the city in performing this work. And we've met with both property owners, and the city attorneys had a hand in reviewing this as well. And so we look forward, hopefully, for Public Works to resolve this very soon, pending approval.
Are there questions or comments on this item?
We have no idea when the wall was built or how old it is?
We do not.
Okay.
Thank
Thank you.
Any further comments or questions on this item? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So move.
I have a motion.
Second.
Second, is there any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Item number 8, Resolution 26-20, changing the name of Mason-Dixon Alley to McCamey Alley. Chief?
Evening, Madam Mayor and Council. Yes, we received an application to rename the street Mason-Dixon Alley to Lon McCamey Street, excuse me, has been reviewed by the fire department. The applicant has met all of the requirements for the process to comply with the requirements of Section 9850 of the Street Name Change Ordinance. Upon your vote, the street shall be named McCamey Alley. The petitioner is in agreement with this as well.
Council members, do you have questions or comments on this item?
Are there any businesses or anything that will have to have their address changed?
So as part of the change, I believe it was made in 2022, all the businesses that would be affected by that have agreed with the name change.
Chief, tell me, if you would, the reasoning as to why you've left his first name off your recommendation.
Yes, sir. As part of the street naming ordinance, which wasn't this wasn't included in the supporting documentation, just some emails that y'all had read, but street naming ordinance, the section G, no street should have a similar sounding name. Examples: Branch Street, Peach Street, in order to assist the public in pronouncing the name in emergency situations. Also, section M, prohibited names, street names similar to the name of an existing subdivision or the same addressing street grid unless the street lies within the same subdivision. And in section P, street names, actions expressly prohibited as follows would be sound-alike names and deceptively similar names, which those names that would sound familiar were presented in the supporting documentation. I'd be more than happy to read those if you would like for me to.
No, it's just that when I looked through some of the names, for instance, I saw we have 2 Macaulay Streets. I mean, they're spelled differently, but they're both pronounced Macaulay. I didn't see where this was anywhere near that confusing. So, you know, since we're commemorating this gentleman who unfortunately, you know, is a really dark time in our community, I'd like to identify him by his full name. Yeah, I didn't see any other names that were all that confusing, at least to me. I know the council, you know, that I just, you know, that's just my opinion. I'm going to make an amendment that if we consider it, that we actually change the name to Lon McCamey Alley rather than just McCamey Alley, so that it's clear, you know, that we're commemorating and reminding people of this, dark chapter. Yeah.
Is there any objection, Chief, that it would cause confusion during a dispatch of an emergency call? Does line conflict? Is it-
So as expressed in the review, Longview Street, Longleaf Drive, Linwood Drive, Lawn, Lynn, and so forth. I just go by the ordinance. So
Okay, so your amendment.
I'm
Councilmember Farrow,
just going to make
lawn-
an amendment that it be, that instead of McCamey, that when we consider it, it would be Lon McCamey.
Okay. Jonathan, can he amend the,
So there's not actually a motion on the table. What
Okay.
Councilmember Farrow would do is make a motion that we accept this with that change.
all right. Is there any other comments or questions on this item? If not, I'll entertain a motion. Councilmember Farrow, you would like to put that in a form of a motion?
I will.
Okay. Councilmember
Motion
Farrow has the
amended.
form of a motion, that would be Lon McCamey Street.
Alley.
Motion- Oh, alley.
Alley.
Lon McCamey Alley.
Alley.
Okay. Is there any objection to the alley part? Okay. So it would be Lon McCamey Alley. There is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There is a second. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
All right. Item number 9, North Glenwood Avenue Bypass Project Contract, CW Matthews Contracting Company. Chad?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This request is to award the construction contract for the North Glenwood Stormwater Bypass Project to CW Matthews Contracting in the amount of $3,024,455.62. CW Matthews scored the highest in our competitive request for proposals process. Not only did they score the highest, they also submitted the most aggressive schedule and lowest price compared to other bidders. If awarded, the contract duration is for 150 calendar days with an estimated completion of February of 2027. And this comes with a positive recommendation from the Public Works Committee.
All right. Are there questions or comments on this item? If not,
Was reviewed by the Public Works Board also.
okay. Thank you. Are there any questions or comments on this item?
Move that we approve.
I have a
Second.
motion. I have a second. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Item number 10, KRH Architects, Inc., Amendment Number 2 to A1A Document B101, 2017 for Al Rollins Park. Steve?
Good afternoon. Parks and Rec is seeking approval for the amendment number 2 to the document B10 2017. This is for Al Rollins. If you remember, we have looked at a couple of different things on this. This would change that scope of work for the fields to be regraded, receive new artificial turf with the concrete curb, nailer, stone base, and under drainage. And then the project shall include renovations of the existing press box building to redo those restrooms and make those handicap accessible. And the work will also include new fencing, refurbished backstop, fencing nets, covered batting cages, and associated utilities and storm drainage. This was talked about in our subcommittee for our projects. When we looked at the, we actually had a bid or a RFP came back, and the cost of those RFPs put us into a situation where we felt like this was the better move and better use of the money for this project. But this would receive a budget for work at $3.5 million.
All right. Are there questions or comments on this item? Not, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion. I have a second. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Item number 11, Boost Lingo Interpretation Master Service Agreement. Jorge?
Yes. Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. Before you is is a contract for master service agreement for Boost Lingo interpretation services. In our last mayor and council meeting, a language access plan was passed, and this interpretation service is to satisfy our need for real-time translation. I have reviewed this along with two other contenders for real-time translation services, and Boost Lingo came out on top. Boost Lingo utilizes modern technologies to do simultaneous interpretation across various languages, and we will be using it for most common languages in Dalton, which are English, Spanish, and German in that order. The Dalton Public Schools has let me know that they used the what's called the language immersion program, along with Germany, and they have a lot of people coming in, and hopefully we get those German people that come in to listen to our council meetings, and they can hear it natively in their tongue. The request is for 50 hours, a block of hours of 50 hours, and $6,000 for this project.
Thank
If
you.
you have
Are
any
there
questions.
Questions or comments on this item? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion.
I have a motion.
Second.
Second. Is there any discussion?
Mayor, I'd
Yes, sir.
like to commend Councilperson Locke for spearheading this effort. It's long overdue, and I think it'll be great for our meetings in the future for our citizens.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We had a motion, a second discussion, so everybody, okay, sorry, I couldn't hear. All right. Item number 12, renewal of Placer Labs, Inc. contract. Todd?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, Madam Mayor, Mayor and Council. This is for a contract amendment or invoice amendment for Placer, which is a program that we utilize to gauge attendance at various events that we host as a city. Case in point, Candace will use these to tell what our attendance is at events at Burr Park. Recreation uses it a lot to gauge attendance at tournaments and things such as the 4th of July to kind of gauge what attendance is and if things are popular with our community and such as that. And also we can utilize it to gauge economic impact. So when we have events that bring people from out of town, we can gauge what that economic impact is. And if it's something we want to continue to do, the need for this amendment was just because Placer changed their platform a little bit, and they included Esri. And so this prompted us to put this back before you. This was originally approved in 2024, and this is in our current budget. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, are there questions or comments on this item? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So move.
Second. Motion, a second. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. There's no supplemental business before this body, but I would like to share on behalf of the city, Councilmember Farrow shared with me this morning that a previous council member, gentleman by the name of Mr. Tom Wright, passed away over the weekend. He served on the council from 1984 to 1987 on behalf of this council. Our condolences to his family, and we're appreciative of his service to our community. If there's no other business, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
A motion, second. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you all for coming. We are